Talking Tottenham, a fantasyfocus.com production.
Daniel shakes. These tangies have never tasted better. This is a good batch of tangies we got going on here. Victory tangies abound. Welcome to episode 179 of Talking Tottenham. Steadily approaching the 200 number, Shakes, which you've said you will retire at, which we don't need you retiring in 21 more shows. We need 21 more victories. It's really simple.
Bucks, I'm going past 200. I'm telling you right now, I'm going past 200. This is official. I re-signed my contract. We're in.
We just got a contract extension live on the air?
That's right. I put pen to paper, Bucks.
You had thrown around that 200 number like it was going out of style, and all of a sudden now you're totally about face on me.
We'll Spurs celebrate.
Win. Spurs win 2-1. The tangies were fantastic. I saw the maniacal sip of coffee that you just took there. Let me get another one for the people. Let me see just how crazy you are. I mean, you don't want to mess with this guy. He will drag you through any sort of business deliberation, I have no doubt. Danny Shakes, how the hell are you? Because I feel fucking fantastic after a win.
I feel great too, Bucks. And you're right. Afternoon coffee shakes. It's probably when I'm most buzzing. However, I might be a little scrambled brain, so everyone's going to have to deal with that. I might be talking way too fast, might be all over the place, but Spurs win. I'm in. I like the new formation. We might have talked about how we thought it could work. It did work. Let's build off this, Bucks. Let's build off it. Deep breath.
All right. Okay. I gave you a tip of the cap on the last show. I'm going to start this show off by doing the exact same thing. This is almost sacrilegious from my standpoint. This is not me. Folks out there, just you can assume I've been abducted by aliens or something. Danny Shakes, you nailed it with the formation. You nailed it. You wanted it. We saw it. We played good. We played together. And the 4-2-3-1, it is the most appropriate setup for the squad of players we have. What are your thoughts? Like Nostradamus? Are you a soothsayer? I just need to know.
No, Bucks, it's just when you write down 17 different permutations of starting 11s, eventually you kind of arrive at some sort of pattern. And really, it's just what haven't we seen yet? And that's just Ndombele or Dele or GLC. In this case, it was Ndombele playing more forward with the holding midfield duo of Skip and Højbjerg. It's not a 4-3-3 where we're trying to get Dele involved. It's not anything different like with a back three, although I'd still be intrigued to see it. It just was, let's pair up our two better defensive midfielders. Skip probably being the best defensive midfielder. Højbjerg probably the most undroppable in that he's the smartest. He can go box to box and is the most fluid out there. And then that allows to, the more creative dude, Ndombele, who probably didn't have the greatest game, but still he was influential. It allowed him to play a little more free. It all seemed to work. And what it did is it connected the back four, which part of the connecting was we just played our best defensive player in Romero. That helped in connecting the back four to Skip and Højbjerg. You saw the fullbacks play good games. Reggie and I thought Emerson was great. And then they were getting the ball
fantastic.
He was. We'll talk about with our top three. I got a dogfight up there, Bucks. But those guys all connected well then and got the ball forward to Ndombele. They got it forward to Sonny, Mora, and then you saw Kane play further up the pitch. It just seemed to work in this situation.
Yeah, it was really good to see Kane playing where he should. You know, he didn't get it done. No goals. That's disappointing. The drought continues. I was trying to channel a water boy right there. The Soich continues. I didn't get it out, but I just did. So we're good. Yeah, the Soich continues there for Harry Kane and the illustrious goal in the Prem. However, let's talk Heung-min Son. What a player. 2 assists on the day, 1 on the own goal, which is bullshit, by the way. Can we just call that bullshit that they gave that an own goal instead of giving it to Lucas?
I hate how that's given as an own goal and a shot maybe that's going to be completely saved by the keeper, deflects off a defender, and then goes into the corner of the net. That's somehow still a goal that counts. Like we should be more sophisticated, to understand the difference there. And I know this point's been made a million times, but that's what we get, Bucks. Stupid rules.
What does Lucas got to do to get on the scoring sheet, for Christ's sake? He ran that. It was a perfect run. What a ball from Sonny. I got to say, the patience with Son, and you know what's so funny too is with Skip being in there on the double pivot with Højbjerg, it allowed Højbjerg towards the end of that match and in the middle of it to kind of track forward a little bit more. He had a little bit more freedom with this type of setup, and you saw it. It happened. Højbjerg goal, and a beauty at that, a peach, some might say. Not quite a tangy. The tangy came on the own goal. Now, this was a peach. What a great delivery from Son. The patience there to step back, watch it. I mean, it was a counterattack play, but the patience he showed by calming it down, letting his players run into space, that was such a good thing to see. Great job, Sonny. Great assist, and an even better finish there by Højbjerg.
Højbjerg started the play too. He won the ball, middle of the park, got it to Son out wide, and then just kind of floated to that space. A sneaky good first touch to just kind of set himself up for his right boot where he just passes it into the net. And that's the Højbjerg you want to see, Bucks, where he does have the license to kind of pinch up when he can. And he's the smartest guy out there in the midfield. Skip will probably get there eventually too with, the absolute EPL intelligence coming out there. But right now I still think Skip's our best defensive midfielder. So if he's hanging back to help cover the back four or even the back two because we've shot Emerson and Reggie forward, then I like Højbjerg kind of going up and finding those spaces, and he can pass well too. So let's exploit Højbjerg. I mean, let's do what we can to put his talents on display. That's why I think Skip also helps in there. And then didn't you just feel like we were playing much faster through the lines? I mean, it just felt like the ball could get quicker from Romero to Højbjerg to Ndombele or to Mora. You saw a lot more fluid passing. And really, it started out 10, 15 minutes, not to the good, right? I thought at first Villa was taking it to Spurs. They were trying to get settled in. Obviously, it's the first time we've ever played this lineup where all these guys together at the same time this way. So that had to kind of get settled in. But once they realized, just everyone's role, and then also I think probably the defensive cover that Skip was providing, next thing you know, the fullbacks got braver. Next thing you know, Højbjerg realized he had some freedom in the middle of the park, and Ndombele did too. It all just came together for Spurs, and they were just a better team from like minute 15 on through the rest of the match. There was never a time Villa had spurts where sure they were pressing to get the equalizer, which they did get, but then Spurs answered right back because they were just the better team. They created far more chances, Bucks.
Shakes, what has happened to us? We have changed roles on a personal basis. Like, I used to be the sunshine pumping, Spurs can't do wrong. You used to be negative guy, and we have completely changed since. Like, whatever's happened over the last 2 years has completely morphed me into the most jaded Spurs fan in the world. I don't know how to phrase it to not sound like a conceited asshole, but I'm going to try. I am simply sitting there in the doldrums as I watch this match. I don't have young children playing and laughing about me. I don't hear the joys of childhood that can inspire me to be a better man. All I have is the pit of despair in my stomach as I try to watch these matches. And Shakes, rate how down I was for the first 15 minutes of that match.
I didn't want to call you out, man. I was going to let that one die, but
I'm being an honest guy.
You're being super honest right now. We get a text on our group chat, me, you, EJ, and it was about 10-minute mark. Just Spurs look terrible. This is bad. And I was convinced, Bucks, like you had that text like registered up and ready to go. Like as soon as the starting 11s came up, and it was just ready to press send for an hour. You were just waiting. Not that you were rooting for Spurs to like start off terribly, but you're just like, I know it. I feel it. It's coming. And then boom, press send. And then ever since that moment, Spurs took control of the game and won it outright. Their XG, by the way, Bucks, second highest this week. Only to Chelsea. And Chelsea played Southampton. We're
making strides.
I know. It's
one game, though. One game.
It's one game. It's just
let's not get over our skis.
Villa doesn't suck.
Villa's good. They have players, man. Matty Cash, I would love. I know they play a 3 at the back and he's a wing back, but damn, I think there's a spot in a Spurs team for Matty Cash.
Was he the one with all the goofy throw-ins?
Yeah,
like those
not
are
even
the most
goofy.
Those are like the most dangerous set piece they had because it's like the way the ball floated up there and he could throw it like where it's right in that no man's land where the keeper couldn't come up and grab it. So then really all that had to happen is someone gets a head on it and then it's just a loose ball in the middle of the defensive final third. It was a nightmare every time it happened. I'd rather them have a corner.
I can't believe how good that guy is at a throw-in. It shouldn't be possible to throw a ball over your head with both arms 45 yards into the middle of the pitch with perfect loft. I mean, he's basically like, he's 45 yards off the green, just doing a nice little bump and run and with his golf club, unbelievable. The guy, I shit my pants again, folks. So I got to come clean. I shit my pants on like the fourth one that he threw in when it bounced off three heads. This is the third recorded pants shitting by Buck on this show. I shit my pants, brand new couch. Things aren't good. I was scared for my ability to not shit my pants, but I did it again. Call me Britney Spears or Britney Smears.
I mean, Leicester won a Premier League title with that type of throw-in. Basically, they had Mahrez, Conte, Jamie Vardy, and then was it Drinkwater or Fuchs? Like, who was it? The one guy that could just like throw it just 70 yards, like
I
in
want
the
to say it
middle of
was
the box.
Christian Fuchs.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, it's quite the talent. It's quite the talent. But that was, you can make an argument they just did not play well. I mean, they were coming off a victory at Man U, so you thought they were going to be pretty together, and they had moments where they had good link up. You would think Watkins and Ings will only get better as they familiarize themselves with each other, playing out there as two strikers. So, I like the way they're set up as far as the way Villa kind of goes out and attacks out there. So, I almost feel like that win's going to look better and better, as the season goes on, because I just don't think Villa's going away, Bucks.
Oh, they're not going anywhere. I think in terms of talent, they're a top 10 team. I mean, I was on the Talk of the Trinity podcast last week. I predicted a 3-1 loss for Spurs. I think that was coming from a place of hurt, despair. And I kind of shocked them at my perception of Spurs, which stood out to me because you talk to these fans and they had such a lowly look at their team, not like criticizing their look at it. Just they were talking about playing a big team. Spurs through 6 weeks, through 6 matches, they hadn't played like that. And things weren't looking good. And there's talks of a disgruntled locker room over Nuno and his strategies or whatever the hell, whoever's planting these seeds. I was very down last week. I'm happy to report, despite my first 15 minutes of text messages, despite me shitting my pants at the Matty Cash throw-in, third pants shit of my life watching Spurs, not a good moment. I've recovered. I feel renewed. I feel a brand new sense of joy. I like the change up of the formation. I thought it worked well. I love seeing Tanguy and Ndombele have an impact on a match. I thought he was pretty crucial down the stretch as well. So maybe he's getting his sea legs under him. It's good to see that. Good to see Kane in position, not tracking back to try and uncover whatever the mishaps of the midfield were or lack thereof. It just looked like a more cohesive effort. And to that, I will tip my cap. Second hat tip of the day here for Nuno. Good job mixing it up. We got to figure out what works. That definitely worked better. Do you feel that we will be more variable with our formation set as we move through different matches, or do you think the 4-2-3-1 is here to stay?
I think the 4-2-3-1 might be the base that Spurs build off of. And it the way I look at it, Bucks, is it helped unmask like who it is that I think are just like pivotal starters. And it's like you have to have Romero out there. You have to have Emerson out there. You have to have Reggie out there, Skip, Højbjerg, and then Son and Kane. So it's like with that shell, you could play the 4-2-3-1. I think there might be room for a 3-4-3 or 3-5-2, and we'll talk about that later because I saw the listener questions that you sent me. I actually prepared for this podcast. I think it will be the 4-2-3-1 going forward, but really what needs to happen is the continuity between specific players. Like Romero, the way he was interacting with Skip, like he would call Skip to come back more if he thought there was too much room between the midfield and the back line. That's something that you're going to see them build and work together on more. So whether that's a back 3 or a back 4, that doesn't matter. It's just you want to see those guys working better together. You want to see Romero linking up better with Royale because, they're going to hold down that right side. And then also Romero likes to go forward more. So then Emerson or Skip can drop back in his place, or even Højbjerg. Like that's the part where you just want to see the continuity. So I'm fine with the 4-2-3-1 right now because it got Skip and Højbjerg out there together to cover the front guys. And to me, that's what mattered. I don't care how we got the formation out there. 4-2-3-1 slaps you in the face with it because it's like, no, you two are both double pivoters. Like, you're staying right there. Go with it. But, you know, I'm not against a different type of lineup as long as that's kind of like how we base it.
So do you think Dele is now just, like you said it last podcast, is he just an option now? He's not the standard. Oh, no, not with the maniacal coffee sip. Don't do that to Dele. I saw it.
So everyone now thinks Ndombele, Dele, and Lo Celso are pretty much the same player, right? As far as like positionally where you want to play them.
Yeah.
I will argue this. Although I wanted GLC to come in for Ndombele to fill out the 10 role in a 4-2-3-1 for this match specifically, because he's just better defensively than Dele. That's just what it is. More fundamentally sound, you know, has played longer in a midfield role, even a holding midfielder. If it's this type of game, Bucks, yeah, like Dele is kind of the third guy then off the bench, or second off the bench, third guy in the rotation. It's just, there will be these games where I think Spurs could play a 4-2-3-1 where you have Skip and Højbjerg covering, and then you just play Dele in the 10. It's just, that's going to have to be against a team where you know you're going to dominate the possession and you feel comfortable on the wings, so that if Dele's not tracking back, you still got your two midfielders in the, you know, in the middle of the park, hopefully holding it down, but then also you're not giving up sprayed balls out wide, because it's just, you know, not Dele's thing to play defense. I mean, it's just what it is. He's used to being like, he needs to be like a secondary striker, or, you know, really a center forward is really what I always thought his destiny would be. But ask him to just be a box-to-box midfielder is just not in the cards for him. It's just not.
Longevity-wise, that can't hold up. And I think we kind of saw that start to dismantle over the last 3 matches prior to this one. So I get it. It's heartbreaking because I love that guy. I love him.
I still think, though, there's a world that he comes in and it's like he's either in the 10 role, like 4-2-3-1, like, or he's on the right side or left side, you know, replacing Son or Lucas or Steve when he gets back. Like, he could be a sub that's just more attack minded when Spurs need to get a goal. So I really think Dele could play a ton. It's just, what will it boil down to is like, are we not starting, but are we subbing in Brian Heel or Dele Alli or Steve Bergwijn, you know, if this is the starting lineup that we're working off of? So there's going to be some sort of rotation there. It's not like, let's create a new position for Dele. It's like, no, let's keep Dele in the places where we know he's been successful.
It's a good point. But I think, all right, let's talk Heel, because Heel in relief time there, he looked fantastic, man.
He was in there for 4 minutes.
Yeah, but he looked great. That was the best 4 minutes of my life. That's what she said.
Post shit.
I showered at halftime, man.
Yeah, Gil Daddy Flex, he put in a very limited but a good shift. I thought he looked great in the Thursday game. So going back there, we didn't get a chance to record in between. I mean, I think he's definitely going to be a rotational player for Spurs, and he will get spot starts in the Prem too. He'll always be in the Europa Conference League, but now I think you're going to just see him have more pivotal minutes in the Prem.
I'm a big fan of Gil Daddy Flex.
I know. I like that you've come around the nickname.
Yep. All right, so we'll talk about our men of the match here for Spurs over Villa 2-1. Who are your top 3 performers on the day?
So this was tough. I had a couple honorable mentions. Romero's an honorable mention just because I felt like he could have did a little something more instead of draw that yellow on the goal. Other than that, though, he was by far our best center or defensive player. You could tell like how composed he is, and then you can also tell, you know, just composed with the ball, but then also like just the leadership side of it. You know, he was just ordering around players. He was linking up with the midfield better. And I think even as he gets more comfortable, you're going to watch him get more offensive too, which is going to be fucking awesome. Still him as an honorable mention alongside Skip, who's also an honorable mention. I thought he put in an excellent shift, and he's just, you know, aside from a yellow, he's just like tactically so good, follows the orders, and then also just cleans up everything on defense. My number 3 Bucks, it's Højbjerg. He had the goal. I thought he also put in a great shift in the midfield. He was all over the park in the middle, at least. And I had my number 2 as Royale on the right-hand side. And then number 1 was Son, and no one's probably disputing Son being the best player on the pitch or on the team.
All right, no honorable mentions for me. You don't get a trophy for trying. I'm going to go with top 3 here. Number 3, Højbjerg. Great goal. Great persistence there in the midfield. He did great. I got Emerson Royal as my number 2. Really impressed with the shift he put in. And that's more of a, hey, let's keep it going, my boy. Let's build on this. Let's make sure you feel comfortable there. And then Heung-min Son, undoubtedly number 1.
So we have the same top 3.
Same top 3. Exact same top 3. We got a question here from Alex. Has Gil Daddy Flex surpassed Tanganga on Bucks My Boy rankings? Absolutely not. My boy is Tanganga. I need one boy, and that is my boy, is Tanganga. Now, if we were doing like a sub ranking, like my guy is Heel. Heel is my guy. Tanganga is my boy, if that makes any sense to clear it up.
Clearly. Didn't you feel, Bucks, with Royale? It's like Villa tried to rough him up. They're like, oh, welcome to the Prem. This is how we do things. And he was just scuffing it up with them along the right side. And he just held his own. Like, for a while, I was worried he was just going to get almost knocked out of the match, just like pick up a knock just from like everyone sliding in on each other, the bows going, the shoulders into each other. I mean, one time he just got straight up checked by, was it Target? And they're like, oh, he just stood his ground. I was like, no, he didn't. He like stepped into him.
It was Ramsey.
Was it Ramsey that did it? Yeah.
Yeah, but the devil reincarnate, Aaron Ramsey, who isn't the former Arsenal man, Aaron Ramsey, but he still shares that name, a demon, an absolute demon. He should have been booked in the first half for 2 yellows.
He could have been booked in the first like 25 minutes of that match.
Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah. And the refs sucked. The skip yellow, give me a break. Give me an absolute break.
He only got that yellow because of the mistake he made with the header. So like then they felt like they had to like punish him because it's like he caused his own issue. But we had terrible announcers too on Peacock, the NBC feed. They're like, oh, Royal just run right into him. I'm like, first off, it's Royale. Secondly, the guy like took 4 steps over and like checked him like it's like a hockey play. Like he just like ran him into the boards as the puck went by.
It was terrible refereeing. Just clean it up. God, the Prem is so bad on that front. And let's talk Peacock. Let me talk to you about my friends at Peacock. Our English listeners, you probably are just as frustrated with different apps to watch matches. I know you get actually less coverage than us somehow, which is mind-blowing. But we have what's called Peacock. It's an app. I have it on my PlayStation 4, and I'm too poor for a PlayStation 5. Don't judge me. Okay? So when I watch it, I usually can click on the game, and it takes me to the game. This weekend, every match I clicked rerouted to a different game altogether. So it was like playing Jenga, like pulling out the different pieces and trying to figure out which match was actually the Spurs match because they didn't label anything properly. If anybody else had the same problem, please.
No, I did too. Like I clicked on like, I think our match and it was like West Ham Brentford or something. I think it was that, or was it Crystal Palace Leicester? It was just not our match. So then you had to go to a different one. And then you're like, well, maybe Spurs are over here. Also, Bucks, we have the CBS app for the papajohns.com Europa Conference League, sponsored by the Kia Sorrento, built by Brentford Tools.
Yep.
You got to want to find that one. You have to search Europa Conference League independently. From there, it pulls a separate list. You then select Spurs, and then it brings you to a different drop down, and then you got to select them. That's something where you can't just type in Spurs. It wouldn't come up.
Europa.
You have to type, but you can't type Europa either. It'll bring up the regular Europa League that we somehow didn't get into. You have to type in Europa Conference all the way out, and then it pulls it up. It's just a nightmare.
See, I figured it out on the CBS. I just searched papajohns.com. Pulls it right up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I always, if that doesn't work, I say presented by the Kia Sorrento, built by Brentford Tools, and then we're good to go from there.
Somehow ordered 4 pizzas, didn't even know what you did. Just they showed up at your doorstep.
I got a shakaroni.
Is that the pepperonis on the edge?
Yep.
Yeah, money.
Big pep action. on the Shaq-a-roni. Yeah, Alex here sharing our frustrations. Peacock sucks. You went to the casino only to find out they didn't have Peacock. Well, I could have told you that, Alex. You should have messaged me. I'm sure they're not exactly having folks line up for the Peacock app. Found himself watching from the phone in the casino. Crystal Palace and Leicester was probably on your phone screen as well as the big screen. So yeah, it's Peacock is year 2 of Peacock has not been a good year for Peacock.
Sophomore slump.
I always thought to myself, Shakes, I'm a fan of peacocks, they're filthy animals, but I always found an allure to them. At this stage in the game, I despise peacocks, and it's not our fault. It's the fact that you branded yourself with the peacock, which, by the way, is the dumbest name for an application that I've ever heard of. Peacock, like it's horse pucky is what it is. It's horse pucky.
Yeah, I mean, peacocks also shit themselves.
Filthy creatures.
Yep, filthy creatures. Peacocks.
They might look beautiful, but they're full of shit. I know that to be a fact.
This gets all in their feathers and their couches. The thing I think that pisses me off too with NBC is at time they used to have the NBC Sports app, which wasn't bad, and then now they've moved other soccer matches over to the Peacock app because they're trying to force feed it down our throats for us to subscribe. Yep. So then there's also that scramble drill. It could be like Spurs Man City, and you're like, what the hell? Why isn't this on NBC? And you realize it's on the cock because you got to go over there and subscribe.
It's always on the cock, man.
Always.
It's tough. It's tough to be a guy who has to resort to the Peacock.
My dream bucks one day, though, is like somehow one of those guys want to sponsor us. So then we're just singing their praises. Like 3 episodes later, like brought to you by Peacock. Get the app. Yeah, I think that'd be fantastic if just they go back 4 episodes to this.
Do a live tutorial, and it takes me to 6 different games before I find the one I wanted.
It's like more tedious than you Google mapping like Eastern European cities. Yeah.
We don't talk shit about Sabata, okay? We don't talk shit about Sabata.
Yeah.
Well, Vitesse, I'm not huge on that city. Arnhem. Bigger fan of Sabata and the post-apocalyptic steampunk bar.
For sure.
Yeah. I'll see you there. Me and you are planning on going over to Sabata, having a good time, having a sabbatical.
Ooh. Like the play on words there, Buck.
Yeah. How about that Mora match? We will be joining the crew at the bunker post-apocalyptic steampunk bar in a few short weeks. But Spurs look good. 2 in a row. 1 in the papajohns.com. That felt good. How'd you feel after that game?
It was nice. I wish we didn't have to go into the reserves, but once we did, it was like 20 minutes of work is all Kane needed for a hat trick. And that's where, look, Kane, I thought looked pretty sharp against Villa too. I always thought he was going to score. And you saw like how great he was at finishing against a way lesser team in Mora. So I think we're building on this with Kane. I think it's going to take us into one of your listener questions, Bucks, but when it comes to a Son versus Kane conversation, I mean, we can just break it right here. Son's just the better player, right?
It's tough to say. It's tough to say.
You're still holding out. We were talking about benching Kane. Well, I wasn't, but people were asking.
I mean, I might have said that.
Yeah.
Might have had a few too many beers. It wasn't a daytime recording where I have all my wits and ambitions about me. I would say if I were to power rank Spurs, 1 would be Son. I'll say that confidently. 2 would be Hugo. 3 would be Kane.
Wow. As in importance or just best player?
Ability to pull chicks.
Okay. I think I'd put Hugo above Kane there.
Yeah. Chill to pull ratio.
Chill to pull ratio. Well,
that's the one ratio that matters. What's his chill to pull?
I mean, very true.
So I look at Hugo, I'm like, yeah, that guy pulls. Kane, he pulls. He's got children. He has he's made love. Sonny, I think he can pull chicks. He can definitely finish too, Shakes.
For sure. Can also set his guys up as well.
Exactly. Sets him up on a platter for him. No, I just think right now, better player. In terms of power ranking Spurs, what are your top 3 players for Spurs with what they bring to the club? Hugo has been huge this year. Hugo's
so
great, man.
Hugo, I guess, put him in the top 3. So then it is Son and Kane. If you're dropping Hugo, I mean, Bucks, I've only seen a few games of this, but I really think third most important player out there, if it's most important, it's Romero. I think it's Son, it's Kane, it's Romero. Because right now it could end up being Skip in a couple years, but he's just so young. Højbjerg he played better the last couple matches, but he was in a slump to the point where like I really think Lo Celso is like going to turn into the Swiss Army knife tool on this team. He comes in for Ndombele. I was 100% in on that. It's just if Skip or Højbjerg got an injury or needed just a sub out because they were working their asses off, I would have wanted Lo Celso to replace them there too. I wouldn't have wanted Dele.
I agree.
I wouldn't have wanted anyone else. So I think, you might see Højbjerg play next to Skip with either Ndombele or Dele above them, which always I never wanted. I always wanted Ndombele further back with the ball. But what I'm realizing is just you can't trust them defensively. So unless you're playing like a super far back 4-3-3, but then you're kind of having that disconnect, I would say, again, between the midfield and the forward line. I just think Lo Celso is the safer play. And you even saw Jose back when Spurs were down Kane and down Son lean on Lo Celso in a 4-2-3-1 where he was playing as one of the holding midfielders, and everyone thought he was one of Spurs' best players before Kane got back. So I would say it's Lo Celso right over there too, and he can maybe become one of those top players for Spurs. But right now it's Kane, it's Son, it's Hugo. Then after that, I think it's Romero.
Romero, what an impact he made. I mean, he kind of rebrands that defensive look because he poses a threat. He wants to get it upfield. I love that. Keep blasting. Keep blasting. Cuddy.
Yeah.
Is it Cuddy or Cootie?
I think it's Cootie.
Kid Cootie. My guy.
Round
All right,
Cootie.
let's get into some questions here. I do think Son is our best player, by the way, to answer that listener question. This is a fun one. This is one I took a lot of time, deep thought, ponderings. This is from Dumb and Ndombele. That's a play on Dumb and Dumber. Which Spurs player do you take out to a club? Which one to a pub? Which one for a round of golf? Which one for a road trip? And finally, which one for dinner at your parents' house? We'll go to you first, Shakes. Run us through your list.
Well,
and your
let's go one at a time with it. So,
okay,
with the club, I'm going Reggie.
Oh wow,
Spanish chicks, Bucks. What about you?
Enough said. That's perfect.
Yeah, I feel like I'm done. Yeah.
All right, so my club, I'm taking Skip. And that's only for the reason that I need someone that's more out of place than I am at the club. You got a 48-year-old Skippy. He's in there with the club, receding hairline. He's probably got an ill-fitting shirt just like me, but I might kind of vibe a little bit more. So I actually want to look good at the club and not be the most out of place person, which I guarantee you I will be at any club I ever step foot into. I will be the person people look at and say, you don't belong here. I mean, you folks, you see me on YouTube. I'm not club material. So I need somebody who's worse. I need Skip at the club with me.
See, this is a good transition because at the pub, I want Skip. He's still young, so trust me, he's at 1,000,000 pints. I mean, he's 20, what is he, 21 going on 38? But it still would probably have that new go to the pub feel for him. So he'd bring the energy. He would also defensively guard any of our bar pub positions. If you need to make sure like, hey, I'm going to be stepping out for 10 minutes, he's guarding your bar stool. Like he is making sure no one touches that shit. He's got that thing on lockdown. He makes sure he spreads out his elbows, make sure that you got that space on the bar. If it's a crowded joint, you want him going to bat with you. And I think he'd be a pretty good wingman too at the pub. If that's also your thing, if you're not there just drinking with the boys.
All right. I like Skip at the pub. That makes sense. I'm taking a bit of a different angle here. I'm going to go with Joe Roden because I want to beat the shit out of whoever's in that pub causing chaos.
Absolutely. That's who you take.
Yep. I want to have strength in numbers, strength in tattoos. I want Joe Roden with me because that's a guy who's been in quite a few bar fights. I have no doubt about it.
I couldn't agree more with that one. I mean, especially it being a pub. I mean, I guess you could talk me into Hugo if I wanted to make sure I had someone ready to go fight, but Rocat fits in the pub a lot more.
Yeah,
like he
exactly.
just seems like a pub scene guy.
He's
Welshman.
at home there. He's at home there. Who do you want to play golf with?
So this is the boring answer, and it's probably just Harry Kane, right? He loves golf, and I love golf, Bucks. So my angle with it would be, it sounds like I could play golf. I'm playing with somebody who's good at golf, so that would piss me off if they sucked. Like,
wait,
then
what?
It's just
you
not.
Get mad if people suck that you play with?
Yeah, how often do we play together?
Not often.
No, man, you're fine because you play fast. That's what matters. As long as you play fast. I think I've said that on the podcast. As long as you play fast, doesn't matter how much you suck.
Well,
but
there have been many times when we've been on our various boys golf trips where you make sure that I'm not in your pairing. That has happened.
Well, we
Admit
see each
it
other
now
all the
to the
time.
people.
We see each other all the time.
Yeah, that's always the excuse, but I know what it is. You elitist, you private jet riding screw job. That's what you do. You put me on the shelf. You say, Buck can play with the kids. You made me play with your 3-year-old child.
You know, earlier when you said PlayStation 4, do you want one of my PlayStation 5s?
No. I want to golf with Doherty because I want to win.
Kane would also be able to hold his own, probably talking PGA. So he'd be able to talk golf while also playing golf, and probably is pretty good at golf. So, but I like the Doherty pick.
All you've done here is you've now made it so apparent that you are an elitist prick, and you have to play with someone who's good at golf. I want to play with the worst golfer in the world, and that's Matt Doherty. He can't be good. Road trip. Who you road tripping with?
I think I'm going to go Lucas because I think he would volunteer to drive the entire time.
You don't like driving on a road trip?
I don't mind it, but I mean, if my choice was I get to sit shotgun and like control the music, and you know, I'll carry on a conversation, as you know, from time to time. But if I get to then, I don't know, where are we driving? I mean, is it like through mountains and it's like treacherous 2-lane highways type stuff? I just don't want to deal with that. And I think Lucas would. He's the team player, man. He's like, no, I got it. I got the next 9 hours, no problem.
So you want to hire? You want? So you just want to hire Lucas as your chauffeur?
No, I'm not saying that. I would offer, like at a gas station, like, hey man, you want me to, take over for this last 30 minutes? Like I would offer.
I want a language barrier. Lucas speaks too much English. I'm going to go with Brian Heel. I'm hoping that after 5 minutes of us trying to communicate, I don't habla español. So hopefully there's a complete disconnect there. And he simply hands me combos, which is a snack here, a snack offering in the States. Just hands me combos as I drive. I want to drive. I love driving on road trips.
We'd be a good road trip duo then, because I'll sit shotgun. We might fight over the tunes. I know you like your Scorpions and your 80s hair metal bands.
Yep.
Whereas I like my Jimmy Buffett and, new age country.
I would have to play Beatles if Heel's in the car. Just as an homage.
The hairstyle.
Yeah, just as an homage.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, I want Brian Heel. I want to get to know him. I want him to improve upon his my guy ranking and become my boy. So maybe we would bond over silence.
Maybe. So you'd be that guy like, so you like it at Spurs? What have you done since getting here? You just 20 question him.
Have you been to Cadbury Land?
Have you seen Big Bang Theory? And you look like the one guy on this.
He does kind of look like
He looks just like him.
Yeah, he does.
Not sure if that's over outside of America, that show. But a dead ringer.
Dinner with parents, I think this is easy. Sunny. You're bringing Sonny home to
It
chat
is.
with your
It's I
folks.
wanted it to be somebody different. Like I was thinking about Ndombele, just because I'd be like, see, he's just so misunderstood. Like once you get to know him, he's like a great guy and he just means well and he tries hard. Like he's fine.
Or deli
Yeah.
with jeans on that have 16s like slits and tears through them coming into your parents' home.
I like how you
Mom's
and I
trying to
both
make
avoided
carrots.
deli at the club, which was probably like the shoe-in pick, and we both went different directions.
If I want to look terrible at the club, I'd bring deli. I will be
Deli,
way
deli
out
can't
of
get a
place.
start anywhere. We didn't even pick him for our club selection.
Start him, sit him. All right, let's get to the other questions here, and then we'll wrap up. What do we got? All right, we got a positive question. We're only 4 points off the top. Having beat City already, what do you think our chances of top 4 are? Top 6, perhaps? Trophies? Still want to get to 10 games to call it, but I'm still feeling good about things overall. Shakes, the pivotal question. Can we make top 4 this year?
Sure, we can make anything. It's just let's see how we do in October, and let's see how injuries go. That question was from our boy Savino. It's just so early. You know what are we like? Not even 1/5 of the way through the Prem. Things are going okay in the .com. I would say the downside with the top 4 is Chelsea is a world-beating team. Liverpool is extremely good. They played a phenomenal game against Manchester City, who actually beat Chelsea the week before. I'll tell you what, man, the whole game was great, but that second half of Liverpool Man City, that was fantastic. Like that if you didn't watch soccer and you watched that match, I would imagine you got hooked into soccer.
I hope so.
It was awesome.
I hope so.
And then Man U's really good. I think it's almost like Spurs would have to hop one of the Manchesters, Man City or Man United. And for that to happen, it's like you got to hope that they make a deep run in all the other trophies, specifically the Champions League for Man City. That's the part that's tough, Bucks. And it's so draw dependent because of all the games that you're going to get. I mean, Spurs got Burnley on the road for the Carabao Bang Energy Cup. I mean, there's a world you win that. Next thing you know, you get selected with another team that's outside the Prem, and next thing you know, you're on the semis and you're playing your next game against a real Premier League team, that you probably wouldn't be favored. So suddenly you're in the Final 4 there. So anything can happen. So I'm open to it.
I think we get a trophy this year.
Wow, that's quite a statement.
When I least expect it. When I least expect it, when I'm shitting myself, that's when the trophies come.
Calling 3-1 Villa 72 hours ago.
Yep, I need to double dose my Metamucil on the day of that match, and I'll be ready to go. Put a tarp down on the couch, let it rip. We get a trophy this year. I feel good about that. I don't feel good about top 4. I don't think we're at that level. I just don't see us competing at that level.
The Ronaldo signing, man. Like now, Man U, they're pulling these games out of their ass. With that said, thanks, old Gunner. OGS somehow drawing against Everton at home. That was terrible. And Everton outplayed them too. Everton just should have won outright.
It was a good weekend of results for Spurs.
It really was. Arsenal, they dropped points. I think Brentford won. Did Brentford beat like West Ham or somebody?
My takeaway is I appreciate the fact that Nuno, he felt the criticism. He felt a little bit under the needle here. And he turned it around from the formation standpoint, and the players backed it up. So at least we have that going in our favor. We have a little bit leaner of a sled here for the next month. Let's get it done. We get wins, we're having a different conversation about top 4. For me right now, we're not quite there. All right, not so positive question here, Shakes. Seeing how passionate Son was in the match and postgame, is it time to make him vice captain over Kane, who seems to be hiding from the fans and media? I want to focus on that piece of it. Why haven't we heard from Harry Kane?
I think what will happen is Kane will have a brace in an upcoming game shortly in the Premier League. After that, he'll be interviewed. Spurs fans will love him because they won the game and it's on his right foot. And then you just kind of see him just more in the spotlight, Bucks. think it's just going to come with when he scores and has these pivotal moments in these matches and puts his stamp on the game. That then you're going to see him more. I mean, rightfully so. He shouldn't have been the interview. It should have been Son getting interviewed after the game. He was the best player on the pitch.
But he's not in any of the Twitter videos either that the club is putting out.
I think the club will get to that, and I think they're just going to ease him back in. And part of that is overblown, I think. The problem is it's like everyone's got so many sources and social media and all that crap that it's so easy to say, like, oh, Nuno's lost the locker room. It's like, well, did he lose the locker room? Or one guy say, yeah, it's not exactly the same locker room as Poch. And then that means, oh, we lost the locker room. It's like, it's just things just go and take on this life of their own.
It's hyperbolic.
For sure. And Kane is here. I mean, he's not going anywhere in January. He'll probably be really re-signing later this summer unless he just straight up forces his way out. I mean, there's no win for Kane to be more disconnected with the team. So like, or with the fans or anything like that. And I think the team's smart enough to know that they should be including Harry in everything that they're putting out there as well. So I just think that's just the way it's going to look. You're just going to see him more involved as the season goes on.
So you're not concerned with it?
No, and Son can be a dual vice captain. I mean, if Son wants that, he's earned it. I mean, he's the leader on the I think on the offensive end right now. I mean, I would say like he's all year been the better player to Kane, and that's not. I don't want to make that because it's just Kane has not been well. Like Kane has not played well by Kane standards the first 12 matches, when you include all the other stuff. But I just think Son's just been all world. It's more been that than Kane just has stunk up the place. I don't think it's that.
I think Sonny is he's the elected vice captain. If there's a team election and it's not manager, doffing that out, I think Sonny comes in before Harry, believe it or not. He's got that love, that support, the triangle, trust, love, embrace. I just created that.
I was going to say, I did not know. Trust and love, you had me sold. Embrace, I didn't think that was the other corner of the triangle.
I'm a big physical guy.
I know you are, man. You're always a big bear hug when I see you.
Huge bear hug.
Big bear hug.
Mm-hmm. All right, we got another one here from Ian. Pull it up. Romero and Skip have to be mainstays now. Absolutely. Both players have been extremely impressive. But he's talking about the Gilster. Gilster played lights out when he came on. Need to get him more time. I feel like we need a cheese meter for Royale's performances. American singles are the lowest to whatever fancy cheeses you can think of as the highest. Shakes, you are the man that lives on the top end of society. I still love Kraft American singles. I'll put that shit on a grilled cheese all day and be happy as a fat man can be. What are the good cheeses?
So, actually, I'm not too much of a cheese guy myself, Bucks. I do like my American singles, though. So, shots fired by Ian at us. I wouldn't put that at the lower rung. I do love a cheese meter, and I want to do research. And it's not that I just don't know the names of them, Bucks. I focus more on, fine wine and things like that, where I just don't know the names, the ages, like the rarity of the cheeses that I'm eating, which probably even sounds smugger now that I say it out loud, that I'm not even focused on the name or type of cheese that I'm eating, but I just know it's expensive and yeah. Okay. Anyway, that's where I've gone with this. I'll research cheeses. Yeah.
Whatever that surf is hand feeding you, you're fine with it.
Yeah. It's fancy guy shakes Lunchables really at
Are
this
people
point.
Really eating like 30-year aged cheese? Is that a thing in high society?
I don't think so. I don't think it gets that aged, right? They would mold. I know you get like a blue cheese type feel to it, but the hard cheeses, how long can you really age a hard cheese? I know nothing about cheese. I know nothing about it. But I'm cool with the cheese meter for Royale. I mean, he was a Gouda. Sharp cheddar.
He was a
sharp
Gouda.
cheddar. Gouda? I'm in.
Yeah, right. Smoked Gouda. Smoked Gouda. Maybe
I like that.
Maybe a Munster. I like a good Munster on a turkey sandwich.
I like Munster with ham.
Oh, I've never had
salami,
a ham
Munster, and Dijon mustard.
You're
Try it.
Italian though, right?
Yeah, I am.
That's not an Italian sandwich. You started to go that route, but Munster.
Not every sandwich has to be Italian, Bucks. It can
I
have
just
like a little
figured
French feel to it. It could
no,
be German.
ham and salami is a staple for an Italian sandwich. That's like your base sandwich in Italy.
Yeah, and I
right?
normally put provolone on it, but I'll swap it out with
Fair.
some Munster. That's okay.
Wow. Okay. I like that. I'm trying to think of what other good cheeses there are. Cotija, like the nice Mexican cotija cheese. Oof, my goodness.
I mean, I'll admit, man, I just lack in the cheese department. I mean, it's just homework. It's self-reflection time for Shakes.
So, Ian, all you've exposed here is that Shakes, a man of many wisdoms, a man that seemingly has it all, certainly does not have it mapped out on the cheese front.
Yeah. I have nothing to add. I'm embarrassed right now, Bucks. I'm just embarrassed.
Whenever I get to throw the gauntlet down on Shakes in any sort of high society vibe, I feel good. I'm going to have a great evening tonight, by the way.
You should now interject different types of cheeses and see how I react. Like, just make up a name. I'm like, yeah, that's great. Like, just having no clue.
I'll be honest, I'm pretty simple cheese.
Maybe that's like, do you think it's like an American thing? Like, we know, like, it's like, oh, it's an Italian cheese. I'm like, well, it's probably mozzarella or provolone. It's like, oh, it's like you just kind of go to cheddar, you just go to American singles, you go to your Mexican cheese. Like, really, the 3 cheese Mexican that you get like at any grocery store. Like, don't ask me the 3 names of those cheeses. I just know it as 3 cheese Mexican. That's it.
It just says Mexican blend, and that's what I buy.
Don't ask me what they actually are. I would assume one's a cheddar, but
what is the cheese that you bake? Is that brie?
Brie is when you bake in like some sort of pastry, right? And you put like
I love
jelly
brie
with it and stuff.
Yeah. Brie is fantastic.
Like wrap it in pie crust.
I like that as well.
Or
it
croissants.
Comes kind of like in a pie form, and then you put it into the oven. You let it go. Alex here. Shake's not a charcuterie board guy, fake elitist. I mean, we've exposed him at this point. So I'm very thankful that Ian posed the question, because Shakes, you will never live this down. You're anti-cheese, man.
I really feel like, though, I'm not the one trying to be the elitist. You're the one trying to paint me as the elitist.
That's not true at all.
Look, that's what I said in the mirror, and now I believe it forever. Sociopathic. No.
You can't hang this over my head. I don't paint your life picture, Shakes. You make it too easy on me. I think you kind of do. No, listen, you're the one that's called off multiple podcasts because your private jet doesn't have the Wi-Fi's. Okay. I'm not the guy that does that. You call the shots. Don't lie to the people now.
I will not lie to anybody. I do not know cheese, though. I do not. Just don't. I'm a simpler guy when it comes to that.
For the first time in this podcast history, Danny Shakes has been honest and steadfast in what he's actually saying to the people. So that's good. We're making progress. It's day after day, win after win, accumulate wins. We got one here from KT. What's up, KT? Good to see you back. What do you think the midfield is going to look like in the upcoming matches? I think we nailed it early. I think Højbjerg and Skip are staples as the 2 pivot pieces there at the back. And then I think it'll be a nice rotation of Lo Celso, Tanguy and Ndombele, and Dele Alli as we go through.
Yeah, and to add to that, Alex Asher also asked a question. If we are going to be sticking with a 4-2-3-1 with defensive midfielders, and that's the clear way forward, are we kind of lacking another defensive midfielder? You know, should we have signed one in the transfer window? My answer to that, which kind of goes into KT's question about what's the midfield going to look like, is what I said earlier. I think there will be at times a Skip Højbjerg, holding 2 midfielders, but you will see Lo Celso in for one of those 2 guys if you are trying to figure out a rotation. Or the other way around this is if Romero is hopefully as highly touted as I think he is and undroppable by Nuno, then you will see a back 3. You'll see a 3-4-3 So whoever you want those three guys up front, probably Kane and Son are two of them. So whether you're pairing them with Lucas, Steve, Deli, whatever, in that 3-4, back three on the center back side would probably be Romero in the middle. On the right, your boy Tanganga Bucks. I think he'd be the most effective on the right side there over Dave. And then on the left would either be Davis or Roden or Dyer. And then the middle would be Reggie and Royale on the flanks. And you can fit just two midfielders in there at that point in time. So whether you're rotating in a Skip, a Højbjerg, a Lo Celso, and a Ndombele, you can do a back three to give them a little bit more cover. So I think it also might mean that although 4-2-3-1 might look like the preferred lineup right now, I wouldn't be against if the team still grew in that continuity with Romero linking up with the midfield, where you could then run a 3-4-3 or a 3-5-2.
Good points all around, Shakes.
Trying, man. Trying.
You're here for the brains.
I think it's all about Romero right now. If Romero can start shooting up and then he gets covered by Højbjerg or Lo Celso or Skip, like, let's build off that shit. It's something we haven't seen.
All right, we're going to end with this one here from Nathan. Young Focus, I see your questions. We already addressed it. Son is the main man now. He is the captain now, at least vice captain. So we'll get to Nate here. Spurs are elite at holding the ball in the corner. Maybe we should try and score first and hold it in the corner until the end of the game. Thoughts?
We did suck the life out of Villa that last 4 minutes when you and was it Ian thought Gildaddy Flex played the most electric 5 minutes of substitution winger ball in the history of the Prem.
Best 5 minutes I've ever seen.
Yeah, just suffocating. It's like what Chelsea does to teams during the entire match. It's like Spurs the last 3 minutes in the corner. Sure, let's build off of it. Absolutely, Bucks.
I might tear my eyeballs out of my head if we were just to play that game where it was just corner ball. I think that would be terrifying. All right, here we go. Danny Shakes, it was you that killed off the cheese room at the new stadium. Didn't want to feel out of place there. Thank you, Alex.
So wait, I don't know the story to this. Was there a cheese room that got removed?
Yeah, so part of the plans when they rolled out to the different people that needed to know for the stadium, VIPs, one would say. I'm surprised you weren't on the list. But they went to them and asked, we're going to have a cheese room. And then the cheese room was all the talk of the new stadium build. And they finally built the stadium. And then folks started asking questions about this illustrious cheese room. Doesn't exist. You killed it. You squashed it, Shakes.
No, it's actually just hidden. And you got to kind of know about it, Bucks. I'm sorry. The best part, though, is I get into it. So, yeah, I mean, that just told me who we're asking. They're a couple rungs below. It's fine. But maybe after so much money contributed and or season tickets expenditures or lifetime with the club, as far as the years, they'll get access to the cheese room. That you gotta. It's a speakeasy basically, Bucks. It's a cheese easy. Yeah. And trust me, it's great in there, but don't ask me to identify a single piece of cheese in there.
What I heard was the password was the various elite cheeses, and you struggled the first 6 attempts getting into the cheese room.
Elite cheeses. That's what they're known as. Is that the name of this podcast now?
Oh yeah, God.
Elite
this is a loosey goosey episode. I apologize to the listeners, man.
The Emerson Royale play though, doesn't that have you pretty excited? Romero got me fired up. Okay, this guy can be better for the team. Where he's just improving players around him. I kind of feel that way about Emerson Royale too.
Completely agree. I feel, and that's really where I think we
get the hope from, not almost the result, but how they play, and specifically the players that don't play often.
The last page to turn here is heel. Get Gildaddy Flex in the mix. Then we got all the new players forcing themselves upon this team. They're complicit in it.
Yeah.
They're not forcing themselves upon anything.
Look how different that was from Arsenal. I was like, oh, why do we even have these players on the team? Mm-hmm. None of them started.
God, man, I'm still recovering from me choking on water with your explanation for the cheese room.
That there actually is a cheese room?
All right, folks, we got 2 weeks off. So you can just sit back, relax. We will be back next week. I'd like to make it a really fun episode. another one like this where we're kind of bouncing all over the place. So follow us on Twitter at TTPodCoys. You can get at us here on our YouTube. If you just search Talking Tottenham Pod, you will find both of our ugly mugs on there. You will not find a single lick of cheese. I can promise you that. Shakes and I don't know cheese, but we're learning. We're trying to grow. We're trying to adapt. We're trying to figure out just where we fit in this cheese world. Are we curded? I don't know. Are we curd old? Maybe. Are we getting old? Yes. Are we feeling good about Spurs, Shakes?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Shakes, sign the people off.
Let's go. Let's build off this international break. No one get incarcerated in South America. Come on, you Spurs.
Boys, get it done. Beat the incarcerations in South America.